a culmination of many years of work and planning. A brilliant and audacious scheme is about to come to its climax. You have all waited long and patiently during the years of scorn and ridicule, the days when we were laughed at as cranks. Well, now a new and better future is almost within our grasp. A future in which we, the elite, will rule as is our right. We owe it all to one man, the man whose unrivaled scientific genius has put us in the commanding position we now hold, Professor Kettlewell. The symbol of our movement, the creature whose intelligence and power make him a fitting emblem for our scientific new order!
Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and the millions of boxes I have behind me at the minute. It's Christmas time. I have a lot of post coming, and I haven't thrown out a lot of packages yet because it just keeps coming.
Some good boxes for Sarah Jane to hide behind in the Reform meeting. Yeah,
that's why I'm gathering them up for my next Reform UK meeting that I'm going to attend. That totally threw me off. I'm joined as always with
yes. Hello, I'm Scott, and this is our could be our final episode of the year, which is kind of insane.
Depends when the Christmas special is coming out, but when we do that episode. But this is our final Classic Who of the year. This is our final non-new episode of Doctor Who of the year. Done. We finally made it. December. Hell yeah. Gotta love it. Love me a December. So we are looking at Robot parts 3 and 4, because last week parts 1 and 2 came out, and we're celebrating 50 years of Tom Baker as the Doctor. Just an insane time. An absolutely insane time.
And at the time of recording, he's still with us.
Still alive. He is still alive. He is still alive right now. What do you think he's doing? I think he's asleep.
Yeah, he's probably asleep. Maybe watching
8
BBC 4. Maybe he's watching BBC 4 asleep in front of a television. I don't know.
Maybe. I reckon when you're in your 90s, you go to bed at like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So.
And then you wake up at like 3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I bet you had a busy day, full of doing something.
Walking to the newsagents and I tired him out. Probably would have.
Yeah. Then he had a little nap.
It's good for him. I hope he had some jelly babies today.
A nice cup of tea and a soup and a sandwich. And but let's take a look. We're just going to dive straight into the episodes this week. We don't have really too much preamble. If you want to find out some cool behind the scenes stuff and how Tom Baker ended up with the role of the Doctor, be sure to watch last week's episode, 50 Years of Tom Baker, where we dive into all of that stuff and then look at the first 2 parts of Robot. But right now we are going to jump straight into part 3 of Robot. So strap onto your seats because it's fine.
Good evening, everyone. Now, please stay calm. Everyone keep his seat. Now then, what can I do to entertain you till my friend the Brigadier arrives? A little song? Little dance, perhaps? Not just a little dance? Anyone for cards?
Don't just stand there, you idiots! Get him!
Now for my next trick, I shall require the assistance of a member of the audience. I say, haven't we met somewhere before? Please, let me help you out. It's a pity. Any other sporting member of the audience? Tell me one thing, Professor Kettlewell. Why?
For years, I've been trying to persuade people to stop spoiling this planet, Doctor. Now, with the help of my friends, I can make them.
Aren't you forgetting that in science as in morality, the end never justifies the means?
What are we going to do with them?
Kill them, of course.
Oh, no.
They're far too dangerous to us.
Couldn't we lock them up?
And have them escape. It's too late to be squeamish, Professor.
You see what I mean, Professor?
I mean, 10% of the episode is just episode 2 again, you know? Because we spend 3 minutes doing a recap of what happened last week's cliffhanger, which must be a record of reused footage.
It feels like the longest time that we've ever had for... Because usually it's like maybe 10 seconds at most.
Yeah.
You know, where you just get that little bit of setup to bring you back into where you were. The person goes, oh no, I'm going to die. And then they don't die. And this one, we just see the whole fight again. They were so happy with the fight. Or they were just really, really needing to stretch out the runtime.
Yep. Definitely the runtime, yes.
Yep.
Of course, like One Piece would kind of use this method to fill in a lot of time. To be fair, One Piece
Japanese Doctor Who.
To be fair, One Piece do like 45 episodes a year, and that's a terrible amount of episodes for an animated show. So they have an excuse.
That's a crazy amount of episodes. That's such a workload. My God.
1,100 plus episodes. Great.
Too many. No, too many. I say on a Doctor Who podcast that something has too many episodes. But yeah, we see the whole fight with the Doctor and the robot again, and it's not any better the second time you see it as it was the first time. I feel like it's really clunky and badly choreographed, and which, I mean, it's as choreographed as well as it can be. The real downside to it is this goddamn robot suit, which is just so awkward to move and use and looks so silly. And we see again later on that it making this thing walk in any way it must have been the hardest fucking job in the world to be inside that robot, and trying to make it move and not fall over.
Yeah, exactly. And the suit feels like it's just about to fall apart at any moment. The midsection especially is wobbling like fucking crazy.
Yeah, and we, so, like, they do this whole fight, the Doctor gets knocked out, he's about to die, and Sarah Jane miraculously comes along to save him. She notices that there's like a hole in the door or something, and that makes her go like, oh no, the Doctor's in danger. She runs in, and she pleads with the robot, like, hey, don't kill the Doctor, he's a friend, you've been lied to by your creators, you're on a mission that you shouldn't be on, and this is against your programming or whatever. And the robot recognizes her as the lady that was nice to him in the last episodes, and so it doesn't kill the Doctor, but it storms off outside in a violent rage because units show up, and unit do what unit do best, which is nothing. They are really not helpful in this situation at all, in any way, shape, or form.
Oh god! And then the unit soldiers, there's like one unit soldier towards the left of the screen, who's like hiding behind a wall, and another unit soldier is at the other corner, around the other corner of the wall, just behind the wall. And the second one kind of walks in front of the first one as he's shooting at the robot. Like there's no coordination going on in
for that robot,
scene.
you know. He's like, no. Yeah, it's really bad. The robot also almost falls over in this scene. There's a bit where it like goes to push someone out the way, but you see its feet kind of lose and it stumbles forwards, and he manages to save his balance just after. But my god, that must have been like a stomach dropping moment inside that robot suit. You're like, oh fuck.
Oh, I feel so sorry for the actor inside. It must have been like the worst time.
Nightmare. Yeah, nightmare. Absolute nightmare. But the robot just walks away. They don't kill the robot, do they? They just fail. Yeah, weird. And they go on and check in on the Doctor, who's still knocked out, and find the Professor locked up in a cupboard. Now, I was very shocked to see this Professor in the cupboard, because last week when we were covering the episodes, I had yet to see parts 3 and 4, so I couldn't correct Scott on anything he said about parts 3 and 4 when he said them. I just had to take it at face value that he knew what he was talking about as someone who had watched the episodes. And so when the professor shows up, and he is very much alive and very much an integral part of the plot for these next 2 episodes, and not actually dead off screen, I was shocked personally. You care to explain yourself at all?
You misheard me.
Oh, I have it on tape.
You have it on tape? What is this, 1975?
I exported, I downloaded your video, and I burned it onto a physical VHS tape so that it would last throughout the time.
But yeah, my defense is I have a terrible memory, and I am terribly sorry.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I am, yeah.
Can't fix stupid.
Oh,
Can't fix
Christ.
stupid.
I don't know why I completely forgot about him. You know,
it's such a large part of this episode.
Yep.
Like, it's like...
And his death is so significant in terms of, like, how the plot progresses.
And it's like a big moment. Yeah.
I don't understand why I thought he must have died off screen. I'm an idiot.
Just wishful thinking. Just wishful thinking. I never want to see this guy.
Because when we do get him in this episode, we have to deal with him going...
Honestly, almost like incomprehensible what he's saying. The subtitles really help a lot. When you don't have the subtitles on, I was like, I'm picking up like 70% of the words that are coming out of your mouth, but I'm missing a lot of them. And yeah, it's interesting. But they take him back to Unit, and he starts talking. He gives away some useful exposition that's going to come into play in the next episode, where he's like, hey, the robot's made out of a new type of metal I invented called living metal, which is like grows like flesh and blood and bones, and you know, can continuously expand and whatnot, which is important. That we'll keep that one for later on. And
Sarah Jane, the entire time in this scene, is just like, oh, yeah, whatever, you old crazy man.
Shut up, old man.
I just presume she can't understand what he's saying, and she's asked him to repeat himself so many times now. She's kind of embarrassed to ask again. I'm like that with some customers, like some older customers who just mumble as well, you know? I'm just like...
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask you what you said, because you're just gonna mumble in the same tone again. So I'm just gonna
go,
smile and nod. Yeah,
smile
sure,
and
yeah.
nod. Smile and nod. Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah. You know, that because that works both ways. It's like, yeah, that's crazy. That's so bad that happened to you. Or yeah, that's crazy. Awesome. It's totally neutral. But the scientist, the professor, ends up noticing Sarah Jane's Reform UK party flyer that she's got on the table, and he's like, oh, I'm a member of those guys. They invited me along to join. He's like, they persuaded me to go to one of their meetings eventually, and he basically is like saying that he doesn't agree with their views in a polite way, which I like that they established that he isn't a total piece of shit, you know, who fully believes in what the Scientific Reform Party is, but then also, like, isn't the twist that he's like a bad guy anyway? So, like, yeah,
kind of. To be fair, I don't remember.
Clearly. But Sarah gets very excited by this and is like, hey, we can use you to sneak me in, because you can go to one of the meetings, then open up a back door and let me in, and that'll be a good time. And Benson from Unit, that's his name, isn't it? Look at me.
Yep. Well done, yes.
He's like, no, don't do that. You gotta wait, and we'll wake up the doctor, and he'll tell us what to do. And Sarah Jane's like, no, the doctor's being concussed. He needs to sleep. He needs to fall, because this is the 70s, and that's how we understand medical diagnoses. Yeah, he needs to fall into an irreversible coma.
The doctor recommended he smoke 60 packs of cigarettes to feel better, you know?
Yeah, really clear his head up a bit, you know?
And his lungs too, yeah.
Yeah, he'll cough up all the bad stuff. The smoke will go in and kill all the toxic and make him cough it out.
But the 70s were a time, yes.
But Sarah Jane and that end up sneaking, or not even sneaking, we see the professor go into the Reform Party HQ, and we see, this is our like first proper look at their like uniforms.
Yeah.
And here's some quick tips on how to know if you're secretly joined a fascist organization. Do they make you wear a uniform? Yes or no? Does that uniform require you to wear a sleeve on the arm that has a symbol on it that represents your group? Yes or no? Is there a leader in your party who's very energetic and encouraging and motivating? Yes or no? You may find yourself in a fascist organization. Please leave. The
but
subtlety
Matthew
is, yeah.
remember, Doctor Who was never political before Jodie Whittaker came into the show. Even though that's when the show was like most overtly political. Like it's not subtle at all, as you were saying. It's ridiculous. But you can still have conversations with some people and go, "This episode was political," and they'd be like, "Yeah, but it wasn't in your face. It wasn't in your face political." What?
And yeah, it is in your face. It's extremely in your face. The only difference is, I guess, that the politics it's presenting you don't disagree with, whereas, the other episodes are somehow presenting politics you disagree with, even though I would say they're presenting the exact same politics, which is slightly left-leaning.
It's not even the politics they disagree with. It's the color of the person on screen that they disagree with. That's what's woke about Doctor Who.
The color of the person on screen is the politics.
Yes.
That's what politics is to
But
them.
hey, why are we making black people political? Said the people who are making black people political.
It's cool. It's a never-ending conversation. There's no way of escaping or winning it. It's pretty brutal. And I just try to be like, shut up.
Yep.
We go to the doctor because he wakes up from his little coma nap, and your whole camera died there. That was exciting.
I don't know what's going on. I apologize if the footage isn't too good today. I probably should have turned off my computer, to be fair, but hey, we're here now.
Well, you just had you should have your computer on when you were recording.
No, I mean, I think it's been on too long is what I'm saying.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, you should definitely let your computer sleep.
Yes.
He's been awake for so long. There's a line the Doctor uses in this episode about computers I really liked when he's disarming the bomb, and he's like, computers are something about them being smart idiots or something. They're like
don't
really
ask me, I don't remember.
Morons. Okay, we'll come up to the line when we get to it. I thought it was a very well written line. But we're with the Doctor and the Brigadier and stuff, and we're finding out what those papers were, those top secret papers that the robot so easily stole instantly, without even really trying, way back in the previous episodes. And it turns out, and this feels a little bit suspicious to me, I don't know if this is going to be something that would ever happen in real life. Russia, China, and the United States all agreed that the UK is so cool, so fucking trustworthy, that they can have all the secrets, all the nuclear codes, all of the information they possibly want can be stored in the UK, because the UK is just that. It's the big brother of the world, We're the granddads of them all. We used to own everything. Now we're retired, we're old, we're letting the kids grow up, but we'll keep them safe. That's bizarre. That's such a bizarre way of doing it. Why not just make it UK nuclear codes? Because then it's like, oh, if the UK nuclear codes go off and it fires missiles, everybody else will fire missiles in response because mutual destruction, blah, 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 blah. Rather than just I have every single nuclear code stored in a bunker with one guard underneath this house.
We're also in the middle of not in the middle of the Cold War, but we're in the Cold War. Would Russia really work with the US and the UK at this time?
Yeah, because we're so cool. And
we're China? What is going on?
We're just super chill and cool. You don't understand, man. You don't understand how chill and cool we are. The doctor makes a foreigner's joke, which I kind of thought was funny. Because I think the doctor's making fun of the Brigadier. Because the Brigadier is like, Britain's so great, isn't it? And the doctor's like, yeah, because everyone else is, not from Britain. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, the Brigadier always has like these old-fashioned attitudes towards everything, basically, which, women, minorities, other countries, it tracks with the Brigadier, but he's also a good guy. It's not black and white. It's not a black and white character, which is nice. His behavior is called out on. It's nice. Well, kind of called out on. It's just a past reference here, but
It's the 70s. And the scene ends with the doctor finding out that Sarah Jane has left with the professor. Much to the doctor's irk, he's very angry at this. He's like, what the fuck? Why did you let Sarah Jane go out with this guy? Because clearly the doctor thinks there's something up with this professor. He doesn't trust him. And he's furious that everybody else does. And we then go from there into the scene with the rally for Reform UK. I mean, the Scientific Reform Party. And it's a fun little rally.
Yeah.
I like how there's like 20, 30 people there. That feels pretty appropriate for the views that this party hold. And the lady giving a speech to introduce everybody to like what's going on with the professor and stuff like that. One of the strongest performances in the episode. I think she does a fucking phenomenal job doing like her best Hitler impression,
The actress playing Miss Winters is really solid. You can tell why she came back in Sarah Jane's spin-off series with Big Finish. Like it's a good performance, It's a really solid performance, and also very rare to get a female villain in Doctor Who. Even today, like when was the last female? I guess Rogue was the last time, but very rarely do we get a female villain as a main villain in Doctor Who, even today.
You get it slightly more often in modern Who. I can think of a handful. The Doctor's mum, Cassandra, other female villains.
The lady
Angels,
in
I guess.
the lady in the Christmas Cyberman episode.
Sure. Yeah.
Not many.
There's just there's not that many. There's enough. They get enough. But it's a cool scene, and this ends with them revealing the robot to the whole crowd of people, to their shock and awe, as they're like, hey, which would be kind of insane. Imagine if Reform UK just went, by the way, we now have a giant robot, and we're going to stick him down on the channel. Now there's just a robot on the channel. That's what we want. We want an army of robots on the channel, please.
would be pretty sick, to be honest.
I think so.
Funded. I would imagine the robots would be funded by Elon Musk, right? That's a definite possibility there.
I physically feel angry and disgusted whenever Elon Musk mentions anything about UK politics because he doesn't understand a single thing about it. He's the type of...
He doesn't understand U.S. politics.
Doesn't understand U.S. politics, but like he gets it enough because he lives in the U.S. But like UK politics is such a specific UK way of doing politics. Like it's so old. It's so steeped in like tradition that's older than the United States. Like the United States is such a young fucking country. It's crazy, and I just want him to shut up. Honestly, although. I uninstalled Twitter ages. I haven't been back on it. I've been on Reddit surfing. I haven't seen an Elon Musk post or thought or piece of drivel in like a month and a half. And honestly, life is bliss. It's so nice to not be bombarded with nonsense that does not mean anything all the goddamn time.
I should join you. Hand in hand, I should join you.
It's fantastic.
Fuck me.
It is fantastic. It's such a bad website he has made, and I don't care to see his thoughts. I just want to forget he exists, honestly.
To be fair, usually when I block Elon Musk, he usually finds his way to be unblocked. But that hasn't happened in a while, to be fair. Fucking hell, just the way he appears in my feed sometimes is just, like, terrifying.
Just gotta get off it. You just gotta
do.
pull that plug. The website's dead. It is no longer the website that it once was. It's now slightly nicer to look at 4chan, you know.
But this reform meeting in the Doctor Who episode is actually a rehash from an old script Terrence Dicks wrote with Malcolm Hulke for the Avengers, not the Avengers as in the Marvel
British
Avengers, the British Avengers, which I feel like we should cover someday because that's a lot of Doctor Who.
It's up there
news.
with Blake 7.
Yeah, we should definitely cover a few episodes, I feel like. But yeah, they wrote this episode in 1962 where an underground movement hopes to seize control of Western Europe, and Kathy Gale, who is the leading lady in that show, infiltrates the meeting only to get exposed as a spy, which is what happens to Sarah Jane in a bit. So he's basically just rewriting the same shit over and over again, which, to be fair, that's fine. After like 13 years, when you think, you know, the Avengers isn't going to be repeated as often as it is now. You know, it's not the era of repeat. Have you seen the Christmas Day schedule?
Services.
Have you seen the Christmas Day schedule for ITV1, by the way? Fucking terrible.
Why? Why would I have ever bothered to look at the Christmas schedule for ITV1?
Do you want to know what's on Christmas Eve between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock? TikTok!
Sure.
The best TikTok videos.
Fucking hell. That's brutal.
That's how terrible they are.
How is... Okay. How is that a TV show and I can't get anything? I'm not allowed to make a TV show, but they're allowed to make that.
Yep.
Why is that a thing?
On Christmas Day, you have your usual suspects like This Morning, Lorraine, Loose Women, some cooking programs. I mean, it's like Home Alone 2. I mean, it's some soaps. I mean, it's repeats. It's all repeats. Whereas, you know, BBC One have Doctor Who, Wallace and Gromit, Gavin and Stacey, Mrs. Brown's Boys, which is fucking terrible but gets big ratings, you know. BBC One, that's why you have to pay the TV license, you know, there's decent programs on BBC One at least. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Doctor Who. That's really
I'm looking
all
forward
I
to
care
Wallace
about
and
for Christmas
Gromit.
time.
I am so
Sure,
hyped
yeah, I
for
like
this
Wallace and Gromit. But...
Iconic. When the robot actually gets revealed, it's a lot like King Kong, and this is our first, you know, like the point where King Kong gets revealed in the theater behind the curtains.
Yeah.
And this, you know, this episode is very inspired by King Kong, especially the next part where he grows to about King Kong size, I would say, you know.
Yeah,
Unconvincingly
King
grows.
Yeah. That's I've heard that phrase a lot. Unconvincingly gross. Yeah, it is King Kong-esque. I saw a few reviews of people comparing it to King Kong. I would argue that King Kong from like the 30s. Is that when did King Kong get made?
Yeah, the 30s. I would say 37, 38, 39, something like that.
Better effects. It looks better than this
Yes. This airing around Christmas, you know, the first episode being aired around the 28th of December, you know, you can think of like TV channels airing King Kong around the Christmas period. I don't know if Christmas is a part of the original King Kong. I know it's part of the 2005 King Kong, but you know, you can kind of picture people watching King Kong on Christmas Day. You know, that's when the big movies come out to play on Christmas television. It's not the same nowadays. You know, big movie premieres on like BBC One aren't the same on Christmas. I'm afraid to say, because you know, when I was a kid, you know, like the TV premiere of Monsters Inc. Like, holy shit, I was so excited. you know?
It's, the times they do be a changing, and the way that media gets consumed now. Imagine what it's gonna be like in 20 years. And for when we were in our 40s, we're like, God, we used to have streaming services. Now we just plug everything into our nose. Crazy, but they finally invent smell-o-vision, and that's okay.
I can't wait for everything to just keep going up in price. I can't wait for the point where Netflix is like £40 a month. That's gonna be very soon.
But like it'll be like a bubble, so it'll just keep expanding. Until like TV, it's like what happened with TV, regular TV. It got so goddamn expensive. Everybody went, "Oh, we're just going to cut the cord. We're canceling cable, and we're going to go to these streaming services because they're a cheaper alternative."
Have you seen YouTube TV has risen in price? It's the American equivalent of like you watch cable on YouTube. You watch live
I kind of
TV,
wish YouTube TV was available here. I feel like I would use it a lot.
It went from $71 per month to about $81 per month, which is over almost £1,000 a year.
That's so much money
for YouTube
that's
TV.
Crazy. Never mind, I wouldn't get YouTube TV. That's crazy money. I'm happy enough with YouTube Premium. I'm happy enough with YouTube Premium. I don't want YouTube TV.
Yeah.
But my God. Yeah.
I can't imagine paying for cable again, or satellite, or Sky. I never really did pay for Sky. It was always my mum's thing. But yeah, just a nightmare. Just a nightmare of a time.
I do
it's all fucking repeats as well. You turn onto Comedy Central and it's all Friends every single day.
Yeah, but I do like how TV when TV was around and the only thing, it seemed like a nightmare to have to get TV. Like, you have to phone somebody, you have to have somebody come over to your house and install some stuff. And now I can just buy a Fire Stick on Amazon. It shows up the next day. I plug it into my TV and it's good to go. It is. I like some aspects of living in the future. There's some neat parts of it. But the episode itself, however, continues on with the Doctor trying to get into the Reform UK party. Your camera's dead again. What are you doing? Please run Camera Hub to run Elgato.
Yes, I don't know what's happening. I apologize again for the footage. I don't know what's happening.
So the Doctor's at the desk and he's going through his pockets. There's some fun stuff like intergalactic passport, the freedom to the city of Skaro. I don't know why he's got that in his pocket. Just a bunch of stuff. He's honorary member of the Alpha Centauri table tennis club. So that's kind of fun. But the guard who's waiting for Reform UK is having none of it and kind of backs the Doctor up to the door. But we see him stand on the Doctor's scarf, and this is one of the few little things throughout the episode where they kind of just lay the groundwork of this is some of Tom Baker's stuff. The scarf is a weapon that can be used to get him out of things. It's practical and useful, as well as being iconic and weird looking. We see in the next episode the jelly baby thing, and there's some iconic lines the Doctor says here and there. I love Tom Baker, and this is crazy that this is only the third episode of him as the Doctor. He instantly feels like he's been the Doctor for ages. It's crazy. He owns the role.
Yeah, but this is definitely proven that Tom Baker's Doctor is a more passive Doctor. He doesn't get into karate fights with anybody. He uses his scarf mainly, which is fun. It's a happy accident.
And he lets his enemies knock themselves out.
Yeah. The bouncer here is actually played by Terry Walsh, who was John Pertwee's stunt double. He would also be Tom Baker's stunt double. So he technically played two incarnations of the Doctor. He actually wound up playing Doctor Who himself in a BBC One pantomime production of Aladdin on Christmas Eve 1974. So just a couple of days before Tom Baker made his debut, he got to play the Doctor in a pantomime production of Aladdin.
I wonder how the Doctor fits into Aladdin.
I don't know. I guess the TARDIS is magical. I guess the genie could have been like, I made the TARDIS and here's the Doctor,
Yeah, it's a pantomime. It doesn't have to. That's the joy of panto. Is it's
Yeah.
dumb and very British.
It just makes me think, how many on-screen people have actually played the Doctor in terms of like stunt doubles and gotta
I
be
feel
a
like
million.
everybody in the UK gets to be the Doctor once. You
Yeah.
know? It's you just gotta wait your turn.
Like
When it
on
comes to
Twitter
that.
the other day, I saw somebody being like, "Oh, I am the body double of the Third Doctor on this Big Finish cover." So he got to play the Doctor for a bit as well. He just got to do a pose, you know?
Yeah, yeah, crazy. What a role, eh? So in the Reform UK party meeting, they're talking about the big robot, and they're like, "Hey, this robot is going to destroy our enemies. It's going to protect us. It's going to keep us safe, and it's going to hunt down, like, bad people. Go hunt bad people, robot." And the robot goes hunting bad people and immediately finds Sarah Jane and knocks over the boxes she's hiding behind. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, Sarah Jane's here! Kill her, kill her!" And the robot's like, "I'm gonna kill you, Sarah Jane." And then the Doctor comes out and fucking does a killer 15 seconds of stand up.
Yes.
Where
Like-
he like starts dancing and he pulls out a deck of cards, and it's just the audience immediately just fits of laughter and be like, "Oh my God, fucking love this guy." It's so bizarre.
You can tell we're kind of drunk, maybe. You know, we're just waiting for something entertaining to happen. We've been listening to Miss Winters, not Nigel, talk for a bit too long, and we need a bit of entertainment.
Yeah, and there's like one of the guards goes to try and stop the Doctor, and as the Doctor ducks down to pick up his deck of cards, the timing's slightly off, so it makes it feel a
Yes.
bit more awkward than it should be. Or the guy just like jumps. I guess the idea is he's going to tackle the Doctor down with like all of this force, but because the timing's off slightly, when the Doctor goes down, it's like a second beat. Then it just looks like he somersaults over
Yeah.
the Doctor. And it's very silly. It's like, what was this guy's plan? He's just gonna come. Wow.
They had 5 minutes to rehearse that and 2 takes
Yeah.
to get it right. You can tell.
And then they just kind of like the Doctor goes to help him up, but they end up grabbing and twisting his arms. And he's like, "Hey, does anybody else want to come help?" He asks the Professor why the Professor is now a bad guy, and he's like, "I just fancy it. People weren't listening to me, and I want them to listen to me." Basically, it's generic bad guy stuff. And then they're like, "Okay, let's get rid of the Doctor and send them under arrest." But hey, UNIT are here to kind of save the day. They are the most frustrating part of this episode to me. They're so shit.
It's the classic UNIT thing of they come in and they make everything so much worse, you know? Like,
Yeah.
they just do nothing, essentially.
They do nothing, and they're like so actively bad at their job. It's unreal. Like it's insane to watch. Being like, why are you just standing there? Why aren't you moving anything? How are you not shooting anything? You could stop this situation if you moved right now.
Yes, they just all stand still and just shoot randomly, you know? And there's like heaps of people from the Reform Party just standing around and
Just
walking around.
standing in
and...
gunfire and just not reacting to it. And like they capture Sarah Jane and walk out with the robot, and when they go out the building is surrounded
Yes.
by UNIT soldiers. And they just stroll out and go into a van and drive off.
Yes,
As
and
if there's
there's-
nobody there to be like, pew, pew.
Yes, and our
It's
soldiers
insane.
are soldiers right in front of the van as well. They don't think
Yeah.
to shoot the driver. They're, they just let Sarah
or
Jane
even
get
shoot
captured.
out the tires, like
Yeah.
if you don't want to kill anybody, just blow out the tires. You could stop this van moving very easily. You have a machine gun.
And then obviously we have to have a scene of the man trying to help the robot downstairs because the
Yeah.
actor cannot do that himself. And so like,
It's-
there's no threat. There's a scene earlier where the robot has to go off stage, walk down some stairs off stage, and we cut. But here, watching the robot try to walk downstairs makes him less threatening because you're just aware it's just a man in a costume who's trying to get his surroundings. You know?
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. And they go in the van and they escape. And, you know, the Doctor is, like, frustrated, and he's like, God, how are we going to stop them? You know, and if they launch a nuclear bomb, they'll also die, so they must have a secret bunker somewhere. We've got to try and find out where their secret bunker is. And thankfully, just at that time, Sullivan remembers that he exists and is in this episode.
Yes. Almost 16 minutes into this episode,
Yeah.
he makes his grand appearance after having...
I think he's got, like, 2 scenes in this episode.
He has 2 scenes in this episode. He had... Not even scenes. He just appears for like 30 seconds and then goes off screen again.
Yeah.
Same thing last week, where he's told he has to go to this place, and then we see him at the place. I mean, that's the last time we saw of him in that episode. Here, he phones the Brigadier on the biggest walkie-talkie you've ever fucking seen in your fucking life.
Oh, it's massive. It's so big that like the thing. The antenna gets in the way a bit, and the Brigadier's like, "Oh shit, that thing's massive."
It's bigger than Nicholas Courtney's head, which is insane.
Yeah, it must have weighed a ton. You imagine how heavy those things could have been.
I mean, it's probably just plastic, isn't it?
No, but I mean, like in real life, you know, like
okay.
insane. Those things must weigh an absolute, just be a brick, you know.
How the fuck do you carry that shit around? I guess it's in the car constantly.
In a car or in your bag or something, you know. Like,
fucking nightmare.
Yeah, but Sullivan gets knocked out immediately by the bad guys, and then unit drive around in the search for a bunker, which they find immediately. They just straight up find this bunker immediately. It's not even really much of a search for it.
Which you know, if it's funny, but this episode came short. We could have easily had like 2 minutes of padding of like looking at maps and just driving around aimlessly.
I know. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out or something, but no, they were just like, fuck it, we know where it is, we're smart. And the bunker itself has got like robot machine guns in it, and it shoots at everybody, and it's really bad, and they all duck down, and they've got to try and figure out like, how are we gonna get into the bunker and destroy it. And while that's going on, the villain lady phones up the Brigadier to taunt him, basically, just to reaffirm that she's the bad guy and that she's like, I'm gonna kill us all, ha ha. But again, I really like her as a villain. I really like her performance. I really believe her performance. I think she is one of the strongest actors I've seen in the role of a generic villain in Doctor Who, you know. And I like it. I like her big glasses as well.
Yeah, and her bowl cut. She kind of looks like Harry Potter.
It's a good look. And you know, they're like, okay, we've got to find a way to take out these machine guns and get up there. And we get a very brief scene with Sullivan and Sarah Jane, where Sarah Jane comes in. Again, Sullivan's getting the easiest paycheck of his life in this story. Sarah Jane comes in and calls him an idiot, and it's like, oh, James Bond, I see. And they're both just sat there arrested, and then we cut off again from them, which is fun.
It is such a shame that Harry Sullivan is completely wasted in his first appearance. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he gets more screen time in, say, Genesis of the Daleks, which we've also covered, but in Genesis of the Daleks, he doesn't really do much other than just be like the Doctor's sidekick for about 4 episodes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, name one thing he did in Genesis of the Daleks. I dare you.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, like, I forgot he was a companion when I saw him in this episode. I didn't really remember him in Genesis that much, and I really don't remember. He doesn't feel like a companion in this episode either. You know?
It's a shame. It's such a shame. I really like Harry Sullivan as a character. I like Ian Marter as an actor. He just doesn't get much to do. It's a shame.
It is. But there's a scene just before they shoot out the machine guns and destroy them, or just after a guy throws a grenade and does an amazing drop to the ground. Like, he goes so flat to the ground, it's crazy. Where Benson has a old slipperoonie. That's
Benton,
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Benton,
he kind of slips backwards into the. Is it a Jeep? I don't know my cars. Is it a Jeep? I think it's a Jeep. But he kind of slides backwards into the Jeep and bangs the Jeep with his gun. Which, as you said off screen, he holds a gun completely wrong throughout the entire episode.
So wrong. Everybody does.
John Levine just does not know how to hold a gun. It's hilarious.
I have one question.
He played this character for like 7 years, and this is like after 7 years. Yes.
Yeah. It's unrelated, but at 2016 is probably the best place to look for in the timestamp, because just in the corner of the frame, on it was a great year. Yeah, that's where everything went really well. Why does Bessie have a hand attached to it? What is that about? Why is there a hand attached to the yellow car?
I need to. Oh.
20. At 20, there's just a hand.
Yeah, it's not attached to anyone. It's just a hand.
It's just a hand on the side of the car. I don't understand what the fuck that's about. Why is there a hand?
Huh, I've never noticed that before. I'm gonna look this up. Doctor Who. Why does Bessie have a hand?
A hand. Is it David Tennant's hand? Is he in this episode as well?
Bessie, the third Doctor's car in Doctor Who, has a hand because it's a replica of a 1954 Ford Popular 103E with a fingerless tour body. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means
what does
either.
That mean?
There's just a human hand attached to this car.
Somebody on Reddit says, I assume the Doctor built it for hand signals when turning, or maybe to hit the horn, but I'm not sure. I don't understand.
I can't believe I've never noticed it before.
Never noticed, yes.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I'm gonna be looking out for it now whenever it shows up. Like, where the fuck's the hand? It's absolutely bizarre.
The hand is connected by cables to a lever so that when turned, the hand lifts up 90 degrees. The hand is made from an early translucent plastic. I wonder if you have an Autoron story. I wonder if a hand ever came to life in an Autoron story and strangled the Doctor or something. That'd be fun.
That would have been fun, but I doubt that ever happened.
Really bizarre, but yeah, I guess the Doctor is just eccentric enough to build a hand on the side of his car.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah, okay. But the Doctor destroys a bunch of mines with the sonic screwdriver and then turns it into a sonic lance, whatever the fuck that means, and cuts through the doorway into the bunker. Very, very. Yeah,
it's a very different interpretation of what the sonic screwdriver is compared to what we know the sonic screwdriver is nowadays. Like, if this was the 10th Doctor, he'd just go buzz, door open. You know?
Yeah, he would just go buzz, but he would look really. It would be like, whoa, and then it's done. You know, you got to put some acting into it. And as they're going down into it, the bad guys are like, we're definitely going to send the nukes. We're not, even if we're not going to surrender. We're just going to nuke the fuck out of ourselves, no matter what. So like, this is 100% going ahead. In the meanwhile, one of the bad guys goes off to get a gun for the robot, which is stored in a lovely packaged box with some polystyrene inside, so that the gun stays nice and safe and doesn't break at all, which is, you know, it's nice to see that they thought ahead to make sure it was secure.
But God, just attaching the dinky gun to the dinky arm.
I'm gonna shoot you.
It's you know, it's like grabbing one of those, you know, the arm grabber things that the robot actually has to another arm grabber thing. You know, it's two tools that just do not connect together very well.
Two really weak little things.
Yeah. It's like it reminds me of Mr. Burns' hands, you know?
Yeah, just the limp meerkat.
Yeah.
You know. And like, I really like the reveal shot of the robot when he comes up from under the ground and the doors open. I feel like a lot of this episode could be improved with some minor sound effects included.
Yeah.
Like, if you just make a noise of the doors opening, go in like a with the sounds, the sound of like of the robot moving as it approaches. Like, you could make it feel intimidating and not feel like somebody in a suit, but it just feels like somebody in a suit, and it's so dumpy and bad.
You know, if you ever do like an omnibus version, you know, like we did with the Daleks or the War Games, obviously they wouldn't recolor it because it's already in color. But if you ever do that, that's a good idea on how to improve the episode. You can add some sound effects, you know. Just lift the Cyberman stomps, place it
basically here. Literally, you could do that. It would add so much to it. Like,
it would.
And the robot kills one unit soldier who's just by himself and not with anybody, standing on the grass, being an idiot. It's the action scenes in these episodes are the worst part of these episodes for me. They're so bad, man. But yeah,
we haven't even reached the best part yet.
And then the Brigadier's like, "Don't worry, Doctor. I'm gonna destroy this robot. I've got just the tool for it. Look at my toy tank." And we get the forced perspective of a miniature tank roll into frame, and I see what they're going for. They really fuck up the angle, so it doesn't sell it at all.
So Christopher Barry is reading the script. The director is reading the script here, and he's like, "Oh, I guess we'll get like an actual tank then. You know, like an actual thing you can drive. You know, it's gonna be great." And then Barry lets the producers like, "Oh, we don't have that in the budget. We just thought we'd give you this Action Man toy. This is an Action Man toy." If you remember Action Man.
I had loads of Action Man as a kid.
Same here.
I had tons of Action Man. I had the villains. I had Gangrene. I had a talking Action Man that said, "Gangrene, you slime ball." And his mouth moved and everything. Iconic series.
I had Action Man wallpaper as a kid. I was so cool.
Nice. Nice.
Which I had up until I was about maybe 12, 13, you know, way after I was into Action Man. Just simply because we didn't have enough money to get new wallpaper for my room.
I think my older brother has a Action Man t-shirt. Like, it's like the bright orange logo with the AM on the middle of it. It's pretty iconic.
Is Action Man still with us?
No.
I don't think it is.
I think I remember when I was a kid, so when I was like 12, 13, they did like a reboot series of Action Man.
Yeah,
but it was like
CGI,
set in, CGI and set in the future. And Action Man, I remember like he was just like a kind of small dude who had like a mech suit or something. And I was like, this isn't Action Man. I hate this.
I remember I was in the hospital because I lost the tip of my pinky. Like I had a broken bone and everything. It was the worst time of my life. It was painful. I completely blacked out as well, so I don't remember it, but I imagine it was painful. But yeah, I was in hospital, and the first thing I got was an Action Man. Like it was like a scuba diver man. It was great. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. I was never really into like the war play, but I was like, this guy can go underwater. That's so cool. That's the only reason why I liked it.
Yeah. No, I loved Action Man. We had a ton of them. It was a good time. All, I assume, in a landfill now. Just rotting away.
So
actually not rotting away because it's plastic, so it'll outlive all of us.
Actually, I wonder how much you can buy an Action Man toy on eBay.
Probably relatively cheap because mass produced, but
let's see. Oh, this is like the 70s Action Man. First thing I see. Oh, you can buy a fairly recent one for like £40. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
With eagle eyes. Move my eyes. Oh my god, you can move the eyes. Sick.
Wow. God, Action Man's so nostalgic. The
black
black and orange is such an iconic color scheme.
It is.
Oh my god, Dr. X, what a villain. What a generic looking. He's got a master goatee and everything, and a robot eye.
Oh man, we should start an Action Man podcast.
Wow, I had this Action Man desert buggy I'm looking at right now. I had that exact one.
I want to see if I can find this exact tank from this episode. Yeah, I found it, I think. Actually, there's a lot of tanks, I imagine, so... I feel like it might be this one. 2 seconds, I'll get... It's like £70 on eBay. But I feel like it's this
bargain.
one. That looks identical.
Do they still make Action Man? Action Man is back! Oh my god.
Oh, sick.
I'm on the official Action Man website. Although this is like old school Action Man from the 70s when he was just like a soldier with a scar, and not the Action Man that I know when he's like a weird superhero action guy, you know?
But yeah, if there's anybody who doesn't know what Action Man is, it's basically our version of G.I. Joe. It's a British G.I. Joe, which...
So since 2018, I'm looking at the history of Action Man right now. So 1960s, you got Painted Head Action Man, where he just looks like a soldier guy. 1970s, Flock Hair Gripping Hands, where he just looks like a soldier guy. 1970s to 80s, Dynamic Physique Eagle Eyes, that's what you were talking about, where he just looks like a soldier guy. Brief reintroduction in the 90s, where he just looks like a soldier guy. Then, the best era, 93 to 2006, Hasbro Action Man, where he is like, that's the orange-black combo, he's a super spy action hero guy, and that's the way of Action Man. When I imagine Action Man, that's how I imagine him. Crazy that ended in 2006.
I'm looking up on the Wikipedia page. It says the years of availability was between 1966 to 1984, and then it went on hiatus. 1993 to 2006, and then it came back in 2009. Apparently, I guess it was like a limited edition kind of thing, but it's been inactive for like 15 years now.
Well, I'm looking on the official website. It's back up. It's back up. I'm looking on the official website. 2018. In November 2018, Art and Science International began to introduce 6 new budget Action Man products aimed at the 3+ age group. You know, fewer points of articulation, but familiar. So it's just cheaper bad toys now with the nostalgic packaging. But like, just listen to this from the 2006 version. The new theme avoided the military realism of the original period, adopting a more fantasy, all-action adventure, good versus bad motif, Professor Gangrene and Dr. X being the James Bond-like Action Man nemesises. That's the way of Action Man. That's the Action Man I know. That's how I love him. They should bring him back.
I'm looking up... I'm looking up on the website, and there's like a footballer Action Man. Bobby Moore. There's an Action Pilot Deluxe, Action Sailor Deluxe, Action Pilot, just a regular Action Pilot. I don't know what the difference is, just a different jumpsuit. But, we should start an Action Man podcast. Collect all the Action Men.
Collect all the Action Men. But yeah, that is the robot destroys the tank and then is like, I'm gonna kill you all, and then that's the end of episode 3. Which is it's a fine episode. It's kind of dull. The action scenes are really bad in this episode. And I guess... Jesus. I guess not much happens plot-wise either. The professor turns out to be a bad guy and doesn't die just yet. But the ground is set for the finale. Just to prove me wrong. Yeah.
I feel like an idiot.
Which... We're gonna look at part 4 right now, I guess. Let's get ready to dive into Robot part 4.
Sarah? Sarah? Would you like a chili, baby? I had to do it, you know.
Yes, I know. It was insane and it did terrible things, but at first, it was so human.
It was a wonderful creature, capable of great good. and great evil. Yes, I think you could say it was human. You know what you need is a change. How about a little trip in a TARDIS? I'm just off.
Wait, you can't just go.
Why not? It's a free cosmos.
The Brigadier.
The Brigadier wants me to address the cabinet, have lunch at Downing Street, dinner at the Palace, and write 17 reports in triplicate. Well, I won't do it. I won't. Why should I?
Doctor, you're being childish.
Well, of course I am. There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
So episode 4 of Robot is a thrilling one. It is spectacularly superb in many ways, of which we'll go into right now as the episode opens up with the dramatic conclusion that we had in episode 3, where the gigantic, realistic, full-size tank rolled up onto set to try and blow the robot away. But the robot just shoots it. Pew! Melts it dead. And I hate the disintegration effect because like so many little bits in this episode, just a sound effect would go so far. It would help so much, and it's just lacking in environmental connection to the effects.
Yeah.
You know, there needs to be visual and audio for me to even buy in a little bit to the effect not being dog shit, you know. And it's just missing. And it like so many different things in the episode where it's like, oh, if you just did a sound effect or something, like there's a scene where Harry punches that guy and there's no sound, it's just air. Whew, mist, you know. Like,
this episode desperately needs like a special edition to update some of the special effects and also update some of the sound effects. It is very weak in that area, I think, for sure.
I think it's probably the weakest part of the episodes for me. So the story is fine. It's like a boring, generic, I'm going to destroy the world story, but it's your first Doctor. You want to give him something like relatively easy. It's not that complex. There's no major moral dilemmas going on, you know. It's just like, let's get to know what we know, like the personality traits of this Doctor, so it's fine. But it's just shit.
Also, you know, we've recorded episode 3 and 4 on different days. Sorry to break the illusion
Impossible.
for you at home.
Impossible.
But during that time, you know, I turned on my TV the other night onto Pluto TV, and they were airing Warrior's Gate, which is at the very end of Tom Baker's run. Insane the difference between this episode and that episode. Insane how much has changed over the 7 years Tom Baker was the Doctor. Like,
in a good way.
I don't know. Warrior's Gate is an interesting one we should cover some days. It's an episode with Romana, K9, and Adric. So it's annoying from what little I saw of it the other night. Very annoying. Adric is like one of the most annoying characters in the entire show. We still haven't covered a single episode of his, have we? No. No, we haven't. We need to cover an Adric.
Did we not
episode.
cover? Did we cover the episode where he gets killed?
No, we didn't. No. You only saw that because it was one of the Tales of the TARDIS episodes.
Tales of the TARDIS, yeah. I thought he was fine in that. I didn't think he was that annoying.
I'm excited for you to get to Adric, my dude.
Hey, like, I don't really even get annoyed by, what's his name from Star Trek?
Wheaton.
Wesley?
Yeah, Wesley.
Yeah.
Wheaton is his real name. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. I don't get annoyed by him. His character goes really weird in Star Trek. He becomes like a time traveling space god.
I need to get back into Star Trek. I need to get into Next Generation.
It's been a minute since I watched.
I've
Trek
only
as well.
seen
the last
episode
season,
1 of Next Generation. I know that's terrible.
That's crazy. Next Gen's very good, but the last season of Lower Decks is out, and I've only seen like 2 episodes of it. Too many things.
Are you looking forward to that Star Trek movie coming out next month? It's Section 31. It's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, not really, because it's a Discovery.
Yeah.
It's a Star Trek Discovery movie, and Star Trek Discovery is dog shit. So I'm not that.
All of the reactions to that one is just like, this does not feel like Star Trek. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, well, it's set in like Section 31 is like the we're the top secret bad guys kind of, and we do dark stuff. Huh. But all of Star Trek Discovery doesn't feel like Star Trek. It feels like a different show.
Did you like Picard? Did you watch Picard?
I haven't seen it. Nope, haven't seen it. I heard the final season was very good.
Yeah.
For Picard, but the first two are apparently a bit rough. But no, I the only new Trek stuff I have watched is being Lower Decks, which I really recommend, hilarious, and Strange New Worlds, which is fantastic.
I need to get back into Strange New Worlds. I saw like 5 episodes of that. Just stopped watching it.
It's a good show.
There's too many
It's
shows.
a fun show.
And especially with Star
is.
Trek nowadays, there's like 5 shows going on every single year. It's just
Yeah.
all of these
'Cause
fucking
it's the only thing
franchises.
Paramount own. It's
All-
the only thing Paramount have.
All of these fucking franchises keep regurgitating on itself. You know, it just keeps on being
Yeah.
sick on itself. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Endless trash. The doctor guy who mumbles all of his lines, I forget his name, Professor whatever.
Kettleman. Kettleworth?
Kettleman, the man of kettles.
Singing Kettle. Which is a reference only we know. If you're listening to in America, you don't know what Singing Kettle is. Were you a Singing Kettle kid?
They might be an Anglophile. Or what's the if you're like only obsessed with Scotland, what's the term for that? I wonder. I don't know. A Scotophile,
No
I
idea.
guess.
Scotophile. That's what. That's what happens when you're only sexually attracted to me. Which nobody is. But yeah, I've watched Singing Kettle a lot as a kid. Did not like it.
I did not.
It was
I did
always
not.
put
I'm
on
not a
for
Singing
me, and
Kettle kid.
I hated it. It was garbage.
I'm not a Singing Kettle kid. I no memories of it. I vaguely know what it is, but it was not forced upon me, and I did not seek it out. So
Lucky you.
I managed to avoid that nightmare. But the professor guy is told to set off a nuclear bomb, and he's like, "Whoa! I thought we were joking. I thought this was all. I thought we did all of this as like a big joke. You don't actually want to set off a nuclear bomb, do you?" And the lady's like, "Yeah, of course I do. That's the whole plan, is set off a nuclear bomb. What are you doing?"
The motivations of this motherfucker makes no fucking sense. Because, like 2 episodes ago, he's like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, I found V's lot a very weird lot. I just wanted to get out of there." Was he lying or is he being serious? Like,
Who knows?
obviously
Yeah,
he
who
disagrees
knows?
with her motives. So he would have realized, oh
Yeah.
shit, V's are a weird bunch I don't want to be associated with.
Yeah, but then why does he
Don't
start helping
understand.
them? Why? Yeah, it makes very little sense, and they don't dwell on it for very long anyway, because he doesn't have much left to live in this episode. We briefly cut away to Sarah Jane and holy shit, what's his name?
Harry Sullivan, yes.
James Bond, Harry. And we do that a couple times before the big bad lady is like, "Let's go check on the food supply for no reason at all right now, after we've set the nuclear bombs
so
off."
I think V's Sarah Jane and Harry Sullivan are locked in the food supply fridge
Yes.
or whatever. So
Yes.
Yeah,
and they're currently trying to escape. And then they get caught mid-escape.
before that, the lady comes in as we're all tied up, and she's like, "We'll kill them later. We're just checking on them."
Yeah.
like.
That's
Sure,
like,
you have guns, you have weapons. That's easy
guy
peasy to get
goes-
these 2 killed. What the fuck?
he the guy's holding the gun. He pulls it
Yeah.
out to go shoot them, and she's like, "Don't do that. I know I just said shoot them, but don't shoot them right now. Duh. We've got to go check the food supply, which is in this room. So let's go the other way for some reason." It makes no sense. I don't know why you would even write this scene. Like, what is the purpose of even including this in it, other than to go like, what the fuck? Why? You're just wasting time,
Because every time a villain, obviously the villain can't kill one of the main two of the main characters, but
Exactly,
get
so you
around
come up
that
with a
conundrum.
reason.
Yeah, you come up with
Yeah,
a
you
reason,
come up
or
with
don't
something.
include this scene at all. Don't
Yeah,
make us
so
aware
exactly,
of the
that's-
fact that we're gonna be murdered later. Why not now?
Yeah. You know, like maybe a noise happens to distract them, or they knock the guard out, or they get like. There's a million ways out of it other than, just later. They get just do it later. Who even cares? You know, like.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Plus the nuclear bomb's coming anyway. Why would you even capture them?
Yeah.
Just throw them out of the bunker. Because if you kick them out the bunker, they can't get back in. Guess what? Nuclear annihilation's coming for them. They're dead. You know, you have no reason to keep them at all. What if they tell all the bad guys that where we are, but there's a nuclear bomb coming? So just lock the door.
Or just fucking
got 3
kill
minutes.
them. Like,
yeah, or just shoot them in the head.
yeah.
Like, it's dumb. It is dumb. And speaking of dumb, the next scene we get is really, really weird with the doctor and the brigadier standing outside where they're trying to like figure out like, how are we going to beat this robot? How are we going to defeat it? But I don't get a sense of where anybody is. Like, are they close to the robot? Are they really far away that the robot can't see them and they're looking at it? Because like the robot's just there like, I killed that one guy. You know, like nobody's reacting as if there's like a giant, like a killer robot, like next to them. Like they should be in the heat of battle or retreated away.
If you go to 307, there's a wide shot of just them standing like 25 feet away from the robot,
like next to him. Yeah, he's just standing there, like, oh, what the fuck, I don't know what to do.
And obviously,
That's terrible.
And obviously, you can't show the fucking robot moving or chasing him down because this actor cannot physically walk on the grass because the fucking robot outfit is just too wonky. He's gonna fall over at any moment.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Hide behind the bunker or something. I don't know.
The blocking for it is so strange that everyone's just standing around. And again, later when Sarah Jane comes up and the doctor just walks by the robot like, what's up? You know? It's terrible. But the professor guy has a quick change of heart where he's like, I don't want to be directly responsible for the annihilation of humankind. So he goes to turn off the machine. Or smash the machine? Seems dramatic. Turn it off first, then smash it. Like make because what if you smash it and it still keeps going? Make sure it's turned off.
Does he try to smash the monitor? Because if you smash the monitor, it's still the timer is still.
That's where the
going
computer
off,
is, right?
it?
That's where the computer's the screen. That's what the computer is. That's where the picture is.
And also, I fucking love this countdown because it's just a TV monitor in the background.
Yeah, and it's green and blue.
Yeah,
it's like the weirdest color choice possible.
Like red for danger, you know. I had some red.
Yeah, black and red, black and white. Like just something that's bold and easy to look at. Green and blue. It's like Christmassy, you know. But he gets stopped by one of the bad guys with the gun, and then that guy gets stopped by Harry coming in and silently punching him. They have like a really, really well choreographed fight, as is commonplace in classic Doctor Who.
I'm surprised it wasn't a karate chop on the back of the neck, you know?
Oh, well, it would have killed him. He didn't want to kill him. But it's also the most we've seen Harry do in all of these episodes. Is he punches a guy.
So in the first 12 minutes of this episode, I think Harry has like 6 or 7 lines, and most of them are like, well done, Doctor. Oh, we're out of here now. Oh, where's Sarah Jane? Shit like that.
Yeah, but it's more than he's done in the past 3 episodes combined.
True.
So that's a win. That's a win for us Harry heads.
It is such a shame, Vic. I said it like 5 minutes ago on this episode, but it's a shame they fucking wasted this character.
They really do. Yeah, they really do. He seems interesting, but you know, he should have just not existed really because they don't need him.
Yeah.
Or you know, save him for a different iteration of the Doctor or something. I don't know. But they manage to do they pause the countdown at this point?
Yeah,
and then it starts
countdown.
again.
Yeah.
It stops and starts and resets. And it's all over the place. They really milk the ticking clock aspect of this episode over and over and over again. But they stop the clock and they go to climb out of the bunker, which, you know, the robot sees and is like, oh shit, what's going on here? And then the Doctor sees this as an opportunity to just stroll, be like, oh yeah, I'm going to join this guys. I don't want to be with Unit anymore. I want to be with Sarah Jane and that. I'm part of this gang. These guys are cooler. And he just goes and stands next to them as if he was in the bunker with them the whole time. Like, he just walked right past the robot. It's insane. Like... this is where Sarah Jane tries to convince the robot that, hey, you're working for the bad guys because they want to kill humanity. They're the enemies of humanity, not us. We're trying to save humanity. And the robot doesn't really believe Sarah Jane, goes to like kill her, and then the professor's like, no, you need to not do that, and then he gets shot instead.
And it's one of those deaths where he does a pose before he gets shot at. You know, it's one of those classic...
He was ready for it.
Yeah, because obviously he has to stay still in order for the effect to work. It's one of those effects. And it's it's very distracting.
And the robot has the incredible line afterwards of, I have killed the one who created me. And it's terrible. It's really, really, really bad. I get the whole, like, you know, the machine killing, like, you know, mankind killing God or whatever, you know, the killing of the creator and what that means from a moral and storytelling standpoint. But the line of dialogue is atrocious. That's a terrible line of dialogue.
I wish we had a bit more emotional connection to this robot. Like, there could have been a scene in episode 1 or 2 where maybe Sarah Jane and the robot bond over something like poetry, you know? And, like, the robot is getting the poetry in terms of, like, on an emotional level rather than a logical level.
You know, if I was to rewrite this episode, I think I would kind of take inspiration from, like, a Pinocchio story where, you know, we open up seeing, like, the robot get built by the professor guy and, like, you know, learning and developing it, and then, like, that slow corruption of it until it gets taken by the bad people, and that way you empathize more with the robot and understand its point of view, and that makes the ending hit a lot harder when they're just like, fuck you, robot. Pew, 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 pew.
Like, there is such a good foundation for a good story here.
Sure.
It's just wasted because it's classic Doctor Who. It doesn't care about the emotionality of it. It's just, here's a robot story, you know? Yeah.
I think you could take the elements and write in a much better story.
Yeah, you could definitely do this story today, especially with the rise of AI in real life. You know, this story is almost more relevant than it ever was. But anyway, the robot falls to its knees and then just completely slumps over.
It just completely goes down and looks really silly as it's laying there. And everybody just climbs over it like, okay, cool, nothing to worry about. Instead of like keep some unit guys back and be like, okay, let's get rid of this robot. Let's dismantle it. Let's unplug something. While it's down, let's just turn it off. Yeah. Instead of just, because it might come back, you know, instead we'll just leave it. Like, just turn it off for now. You can deal with it later. Solve the problem, you know? But nobody wants to actually help if you're in unit. You're just there to stand around and get shot.
And this is also, this is pretty much the last unit story in classic Doctor Who. And of course you have to have them at their best where they're doing absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah, that's what they're famous for.
God,
that and
Unit is such a weird company.
Are they a company?
Organization, sorry.
Are they
agency? Whatever. They live in a little cottage in the woods, I guess, sometimes. But then now they live in a skyscraper. It's very strange.
Yeah, and they're either top secret or super well known.
Yeah.
Who knows? The lady villain, whose name I don't really remember
Miss
at all.
Winters.
Yes, she reactivates the nuclear bomb and has a very civil discussion with the Brigadier about it, where he tells her to deactivate it. She says no, and then he screams in her face.
Yeah, he becomes a shouty man, for sure.
He does become a shouty man. He gets very angry. He's got a very short fuse, that Brigadier, which, to be fair, this is the one occasion, I think, where you're allowed to have a short fuse. You know, it's literally apocalyptic, so it's okay if you shout at somebody in that situation.
Nah, it's always okay.
You're allowed
to
feel
shout
a
at
bit
women
stressed.
Laughing. You know, it's always
Okay.
okay to shout at women. You know,
I
take it out of context if you want. I am not joking.
I do not associate with my co-host or condone anything
I am
he says
joking.
or does. He's not. I've seen him do it.
What? At one time? Sorry, 2 times.
Every time. But the they how do they stop her? They just tell her to get up, and then the doctor does it.
Yeah.
Oh, because she gets up on her own. She's like, oh, well, I'll just get up anyway, because there's no way that you could even stop the nuclear bomb, because the countdown's already begun. And then the doctor just turns it off. He just stops it.
He turns it off by typing at the computer, but because it's 1975, nobody... Well, typewriters did exist, but I guess typewriters is very different from like a...
Keys are heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you'd have to do like one finger rather than...
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 1975, so computers is like a brand new thing, and he's doing the old man type, and like I did when back in the day when you had those typing video games. I had the SpongeBob one.
Yeah.
Iconic.
I played those, but I touch type, and I've always touch typed, so I use all my fingers and thumbs when I'm typing, because I do it right and I do it quick.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a really good line from the doctor here where he's like, that's the thing about computers, they're very sophisticated idiots. They'll do exactly what you tell them to do, regardless of it makes sense or not, you know. And I thought that was a great way of summarizing computers, and it's a great way of summarizing like AI. It's a very sophisticated idiot. You know, like it has access to all the knowledge in the world, but has none of the capacity to understand what any of it means. You know,
it's insane how much has changed in the last 50 years since this episode. Like, in every single way. It's insane.
Yeah, you know, and just imagine 50 years from now. Can't. It's going to be a different world. 2074.
No, thank you.
You know? Like, it'd be a 74-year-old man confused and scared by the world he finds himself in.
I'll be dead.
It is unrecognizable. It is unrecognizable to the one he grew up in.
I'll definitely be dead.
I don't want to be dead. I want to see the world in 2074. It's such a future year, you know.
I wonder what doctor will be on then. Like the 30th? No, probably more.
I reckon it'd probably be rebooted by that point.
True.
Or it'd be multiversal, and there'll be some sort of shenanigans, or you know, they'll just reset the universe and be like, and you're back to Doctor Number 1, and this is the new adventures of Doctor Who. I don't know. People don't plan that far ahead. Don't even think about it. You know, it's too far to worry about. It's kind of terrifyingly far away.
It is.
You know,
also very close. It's weird.
But yeah, closer than it's ever been.
I'm sure we have a
than it's
couple
ever
of
been.
listeners who remember watching this episode of Doctor Who live. I'm thinking,
Yeah,
oh,
right here.
I felt like just yesterday, you know? Like, Rose, the episode Rose is almost 20 years old. I feel
Yeah,
it's
that's
almost
crazy.
like yesterday, you know what I mean?
That feels like 10 years ago
Yeah.
max. Like,
Crazy.
yeah, but you know, it is what it is. I can't stop time. I'm trying. Just doesn't work. I watched Megapolis recently, and I really wish I had Adam Driver's powers and I could just go, time, stop, and then live in the moment. You know.
Did you watch it sober or?
I watched it mostly sober.
Mostly.
I was very like there were several moments during the film where I was like, I don't know what the plot is. I've lost the thread of the story of what's going on. I'm just watching fucking Shia LaBeouf eat out Audrey Plaza, and I'm like, I'm not against that. I just want to know like what's happening, you know?
Oh, what a weird cast. Insane cast.
It's an insane movie. It feels like a parody at times. Like the Boner Bow and Arrow. That literally felt like I was watching a comedy movie, you know? Like
I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't know how I'll watch it, but I'll watch it eventually.
Have you not seen it? You've not seen it?
I've not seen it.
There's a Boner Bow and Arrow in it. It's incredible.
I'm excited.
There's a moment where Adam Driver just randomly starts like dancing, and then he's like a spider, and he has like a million versions of himself and arms, and I don't know what's going on at that point in the movie.
What a way to end his legacy, by the way, Francis Ford Coppola. What an insane way.
It's worth a watch. You can rent it for like it's worth the £15.
I'll probably wait a little bit for
get it for a $5.
Yeah, I'll find it like in like a discount bin, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It is. It's really bad, and in some ways not in the fun way, and just the like this is just not a good movie. But then it's also mental in other aspects where I kind of have fun with it. It's weird. I want to watch it a second time.
Yeah.
And think about it, but it's terrible.
How long is it? It's like 2.5 hours, isn't
it? Maybe it goes by pretty quick. I never felt the runtime. It moved at a pretty brisk pace. It does because you spend most of the time going what. like I was entertained throughout. But yeah, it's pretty insane.
Nice.
It's pretty insane.
Well, we should cover it someday. That would be fun. If we ever start a movie podcast, do a commentary on it. Can't we?
I don't think there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say because it's weird. It's mostly bad. It's mostly just a bad movie, you know. But yeah, I do think it's worth the time it takes to experience.
I'll see it for sure.
Yeah. Unlike this story, where the doctor stops the clock at 2 seconds to go, and Sarah Jane just wanders away for some reason and bumps into the robot, and then everybody teleports outside.
Yep.
And they're just standing outside, and they're like, "Hey, where's Sarah Jane?" "Oh, I don't know." And she's like, "Oh, well, she got captured by the robot then, because the robot's also missing, isn't it? You fucking morons." And then nobody thinks that they're in the bunker.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. That's where everybody. Where was Sarah Jane last seen? The bunker. Where was the robot last seen? The bunker. They must not be there. Let's not look.
Yeah.
Let's not look in there.
Yeah, this is a classic Doctor Who thing of they didn't have enough coverage, and it's physically confusing. I guess this must have been shot roughly the same time as the scene earlier where they're just standing like 12 feet in front of a robot.
Yeah.
This must have been like the same day, because it is.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is physically confusing where they are and why they are and why nobody
and how they got
the
there and and how why did Sarah Jane just wander away?
Yeah. Also, what happened to Miss Winters? Did she just walk away?
She just her and the guy that got knocked out by Harry, both the Brigadier goes, "Get those two out of here." Yeah. And then a unit guard just takes them away.
The doctor is.
They're just arrested,
I'm watching
I guess.
It back now. Yeah, but they get taken out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But where they get taken to, they're not seen again.
Who knows? Yeah.
I'm sure it's explored in the Big Finish series.
They get executed. They took them around to the back of the bunker and they just get shot in the back of the head. But the robot is like, "Okay, Sarah Jane, come with me because I like you. You're my bestest buddy in the world. I trust you because you were nice to me that one time." And they decide to, Sarah Jane goes with the robot, fully trusting them, and then she's surprised when it just turns on the nuclear bomb again later on. But we'll get to that bit. Benton lets the Doctor know about the growing metal, and it's a kind of a funny scene where he gets the Doctor all excited, and the Doctor like darts off, and he's standing there kind of like chuffed with himself, but he's like, oh yeah, I helped. And the Brigadier just stares at him until he like drops his smile and goes back to attention. It's a very nice little bit of like subtle comedy,
I can't remember. I think this might be his final episode. I know he gets a spin-off movie 12 years later in 1987, where he goes back to his old hometown, and he sees ghosts of his family. He just wanders around this town and sees ghosts everywhere. It's a very weird,
interesting.
It's a very weird movie, just because they had the rights to this one character. They were like, yeah, let's make a movie based on Benton. Why not?
Yeah.
Really bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Doctor
forward to
Who
covering
for you.
it.
There'll be. Yeah, there's so much. We get a scene of the Doctor jumping into Bessie, and I don't know if it's just the way the scene is lit or shot, but it looks fake as fuck. I'm almost certain it's not, but it feels like they're on some sort of green screen. It's so overexposed, and there's no shadows on anything. Speaking of no shadows, like the Megapolis is so otherworldly standing in a green screen studio. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like the type of green screen studio that I really like to see, because it's such a vibe, because it looks so, it's like Spy Kids.
Does it give
it's
you
straight up like Spy Kids level
I
effects?
was gonna ask if it gives you prequel Star Wars vibes. Where...
Yeah, it's prequel Star Wars Spy Kids, sort of like no one's in a real location.
Remember the CGI pair? Good times.
I love it. I love the prequels, man. They're superb. But the Doctor climbs into Bessie, and for some reason Harry tags along as well.
He has nothing. He has
be
nothing better to do than just stand.
He's just
he
there.
basically just hovers over the Doctor in his next scene.
Yeah, he's just desperate for the Doctor to like him, Sarah Jane and the robot randomly bump into a unit guard who's just in the basement, away from the platoon, not communicating with anybody. So to the point where they're surprised to see him. Yeah. When he comes out the bunker, they're like, "Holy shit!" They're about to shoot him. They're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" He just wandered away from the rest of his unit,
And of course, he has no lines because he's just an extra.
Yeah,
an over-glorified extra, I would say.
He gets a couple shots to himself. That's a nice bit of pay. Stick it on the show reel. Try and get in the Union. That's the goal.
Of course, he comes running out of the bunker, and all these fucking unit soldiers is out of shape. And I say that as an out of shape man. These soldiers are not soldierly in any way.
That's because they're the rejects. You get rejected from the army, you go to unit. That's
whereas,
how it works.
Whereas
That's
in
the
current
path.
unit, you have a buff soldier. But Ruby Sunday and the Doctor were both drooling over.
He died though, didn't he?
He died, yeah. He died because he was murdered by Sutek in the simulation thing.
But didn't they bring everybody back? Didn't they bring back everybody so he's not dead?
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember anything about the final episode other than the lady pointing at the sign.
Yeah, I think they brought everybody back because the Doctor was like, because they destroyed the whole world, remember? And then the Doctor's like, I undo you doing that, haha, and that brought everybody back from the dead, which. Okay, that was kind of my because it also undoes all of Flux because it just brings back the whole universe, and that was their whole reason for saying that Flux is 100% canon. It's going to super affect the season, in that we're going to undo its events.
This is a tangent on a tangent, but seeing Sarah Jane here reminds me of when I first watched this episode in 2008. And I was so excited about the idea of watching a classic Doctor Who. This was my second ever classic Doctor Who story. The one before it was Planet of the Spiders. So I was really excited to see the story because I felt an emotional connection to Sarah Jane Smith, I was excited about watching classic Doctor Who because Russell T Davies made the character of Sarah Jane Smith so important to, School Reunion and also her own TV show. Like, she was great in both of those shows. Would anyone feel the same way with either Sutek or Mel? Like, Mel does nothing in the 3 episodes she's been in so far. Like, what has she done?
She was like a spy,
I guess. She was there for the Doctor's regeneration. She had a wee chat with David Tennant for a bit, but there's no emotional connection to Mel in the current run.
I found it weird when Mel clung herself to Donna's family.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, I'm part of you guys now. Like, we're all friends. We hang out.
But remember when Sarah Jane came back into the show in 2006? She felt so important, and as a result of that, classic Doctor Who now felt so much more important, Like, classic Doctor Who was something I wanted to watch because I felt a connection to Sarah Jane. And people these days, with the reveal of Sutek at the very end episode, a lot of people were let down. They wouldn't want to go back and see Sutek in his first ever appearance,
Yeah, especially because it sucks.
It was alright,
That's whatever. The robot turns on Sarah Jane and bashes her on the head, and then starts the nuclear bomb countdown again.
Yeah.
But for some reason resets the count to 300 seconds. It's at 2 seconds.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got to follow through with the orders. And my master would have really wanted the full 300 seconds uninterrupted.
Yep.
He doesn't. It doesn't. Nuclear bombs don't work unless they have a 300-second no interruption countdown. You pause it once, you got to go back to 300.
Yeah, they definitely wrote themselves into a corner because also Sarah Jane needs to try and stop the robot from using the full countdown. But earlier on, you have to have a moment of tension where the Doctor stops the countdown at the very last 2 seconds. Why not 1 second? 1 second would have felt more dramatic
because
than 2 seconds.
1 second is cliched, 2 seconds is a subversion of expectations.
True, I guess. But
robot.
The robot is just aware of he's in a TV show and he has to make dramatic tension.
It's the over reliance on the countdown in this episode. They tap into that well many times it becomes like a joke.
Again, why 300? 300 is such a weirdly specific number.
That's the only way nuclear bombs work, I'm afraid. They only work at 300 seconds. I don't make the rules. I'm not Oppenheimer. You gotta ask him. He's the one that decided that. You saw the movie when he's like, Robert Downey Jr., nuclear bombs have got to be 300 seconds.
I must have fallen asleep at that point.
That was the whole point in the movie. But the Doctor, in the meantime, is in the laboratory trying to make a device thing that will defeat the robot. He does my favorite fake science thing of he takes a beaker of liquid and pours it into another beaker, and then he pours that beaker back into the beaker he just poured stuff from. I was like, what the fuck was the point of that? What did that do?
And also, this scene is like one of the few scenes where it's a sound effect going off the entire time of some of the beakers bubbling away, which I guess I can't tell if it's like real or if it's ADR. It feels like ADR because it wouldn't be that loud, would it? No.
Yeah, probably. They have a beaker that is bubbling quite nicely. But yeah, and they're basically just like, oh, this is so hard. The danger's not over. The nuclear bombs are still a threat. You've got to tell everybody that not to let their guard down yet. We're not out of the works yet. You thought we were because we solved the problem, but we're only halfway through the episode, so the same problem's going to happen again. But don't worry, it'll have a very similar conclusion.
This feels like what we just covered with Survival, where there's a secret fourth act to the end of the episode, the end of the story. Where, Survival at least took it to a new area where, the Doctor and the other dude go on a motorbike crash. That's interesting at least. This is, oh, we need to stop the bomb. Again. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. So we're just...
This is the third time in 12 minutes they have to stop the bomb?
It's just repetition. It's
insane.
classic Doctor Who at its best.
Yeah.
I guess the giant robot is something new, but also not interesting. Sorry.
No, because I would be more interested if I wasn't so focused on it being such a visible suit that someone is walking around in. But it's got a funky design, I guess. It's really goofy, tiny little dinky arms, but
you have tiny dinky arms as well, so.
I've got big, strong, manly arms. So the episode continues onwards with the robot explaining to Sarah Jane that actually you're dumb, Sarah Jane, because have you ever thought about that maybe humans are bad, actually? Maybe the greatest evil is humanity. And you ever think that maybe the world would be better if we weren't in it, maybe? Huh? You ever think about that? Oh, Sarah Jane, you just don't get it. Because the robot is very edgy and emo-y, and the robot has reached that level of teenage angst where you're starting to figure out how things in the world work, and you're like, things are bad actually. God,
But anyway, the counter stops because of a fail-safe condition, and we forgot to mention this earlier. But as sometimes it goes. It keeps pushing in on the countdown timer, which is really cool. Like every second it goes boo, boo, boo. Closer and closer, which is a good touch. This episode is not the best directed. There's a few touches here and there where, that's decent directing. That's competent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good direction of photography.
Yeah.
I find the blocking in all of these episodes to be pretty atrocious for this story.
Fucking welcome.
They don't make good use of their environments.
Yeah. Welcome to 1975 British television, where you only have a couple of hours to shoot something. And if you want a special effects heavy ending to your episode, oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a bold script, especially the way that it ends. They really went out there with let's try to do something crazy for the first episode. It
sorry
fully pay off.
Sorry for that noise. I just knocked a bunch of shit over. Enjoy.
Wow, you imbecile.
Yeah.
We cut to the doctor who finishes his experiment with Harry 2 inches from his face by pouring some more liquid into some other liquid, and then he's like, we've done it, we've succeeded in our doing of the thing, well done. Which is what I think is everyone's idea of what a scientist does.
Yeah,
that when you imagine a scientist, it's just I've done science.
Yeah, they've made a fucking bubbly red liquid, and that's how you save a day. Just bubbly red liquid in a bucket.
Bubbly red stuff. The robot comes back up from the bunker, and the Brigadier has the smarts to be like, yo guys, don't shoot, because we might hit Sarah Jane if Sarah Jane comes up. But they didn't consider that in the last episode when Sarah Jane was captured and they took everybody outside and all of UNIT was just fucking firing at them as if they were perfect aims and not going to hit Sarah Jane. So where's the consistency?
Just watching Sarah Jane and this robot come out of the bunker to be greeted by the UNIT soldiers standing 12 feet away. That's something we've seen before, I feel like. Fucking 10 minutes ago. Fucking we're back in the fucking same place as we were earlier.
It is Groundhog Day. It is Groundhog Day for sure in this episode particularly. And the robot is like, aha, I'm gonna kill you guys. And the Brigadier's like, no, I'm gonna kill the robot. We don't need the doctor to save the day. And he takes up the robot's gun, which apparently just anybody can use. I don't know. If I was making a gun for the robot, I would make sure that you had to be the robot for it to work.
Yeah.
But, that's just me. and the Brigadier also holds it like a penis. Like he is standing there like fully erect with it. Like there was I when I was a teenager made a video web series. Yes, I made a video web series called Messier Story, and there's in episode 4 of Messier Story, there's a shootout in the woods where our characters get guns and they're in a big bullet fight, and one of the characters gets a big machine gun, and so he holds it on his penis and fires it because it's it's a commentary on the toxic masculinity and penis of weaponry and whatever. And the Brigadier's doing the exact same thing here. I feel non-ironically. I feel like he's doing it because he thinks it looks cool.
Yeah.
But
maybe he just likes the warmth of the gun as it warms up. Maybe he just.
Yeah. I mean, he just really doesn't want kids because the amount of radiation coming off that thing is probably intense.
He just wants the pleasure, the momentary pleasure. Good times.
Yeah, just wants to feel like a big man. And he shoots the robot with its own gun, and for some reason that makes the robot grow.
Yep.
Which is all right. We know they've been establishing that it's a living metal that can grow, but the way they've been describing it makes it feel like it's like an organic growth. How someone like grows taller. Not just like if is that what happened to you? Did someone shoot you with a ray gun and then you got really tall?
Oh, fucking, I did fucking Christmas shopping today. Last minute Christmas shopping, just having a wee gander around town, and I went into all these weird little stores. These stores where there's like random knickknacks everywhere, but is not fit for a person like me. I am big lengthwise and weight-wise, so these tiny little stores are just not for me. Like, so difficult to walk around these fucking places and trying to squeeze past people. Jesus Christ. Nightmare.
I don't have that problem, for I am not a giant.
But yeah, the effect. What are your feelings on it?
The actual growing taller is okay. I like I think it would look weird if the robot just expanded. I like how they've got like that orange hue across it that's kind of separating, that makes, the sense of energy expanding it. I think when it is big, there's no real sense of scale anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, it's either like, oh my god, this thing's foot is massive, or like I'm like standing next to it and I'm reaching its waist, or it's the size of buildings, or it's like not that big actually. It's kind of like medium sized.
Yeah, the internal consistency is definitely off, but again, this was shot in like a few days. It's, little rehearsal time to figure out how big is this thing, how wide does this shot need to be, etc., etc. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's really hard to shoot something like this in 1975, where I don't know.
It's bold. It's a bold choice.
It's definitely
but
bold.
Surely this whole story is like inspired by King Kong.
Yes.
There's watch King Kong, which they made in the 30s.
Yeah.
Look at the techniques that they did for that, and be like, okay, how can we replicate that on a quicker budget? How do we maintain a internal consistency with size? How did they do it in this movie from 40 years ago?
In 1975.
Isn't it insane that the equivalent is from the 80s now?
But in 1975, getting that kind of information is so much harder. You can't just go online and research this.
Why not?
You have to physically
just ask
hunt down.
ChatGPT.
Was there even a book about the making of King Kong out at this time that they could have referred
no
to?
idea. They probably could have talked to the person that made it. He's probably alive.
Oh yes, so easy to contact people in America in the 1970s.
You've got telephones.
But yeah, you give him the benefit of the doubt, and also this effect doesn't work because the guy, the robot suit is reflective, Therefore, it is reflecting the yellow screen upon itself. So when you're keying out the background, the yellow screen is part of the leg sometimes. So the leg keeps cutting out in and out, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I would say, if you ever did a special edition these days, a lot of this effects could be very easily cleaned up, just...
Oh, yeah.
It's very easy to do nowadays, I'd reckon. Just, not long at all to fix some of these problems and make the episode look a lot better and fucking add some stomping sound effects, especially when he's fucking this tall. Jesus Christ. Just there's no weight.
It's crazy. He's still silent. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. He's still silent. And Sarah Jane tries to get away, but falls over or something, and then she just freezes. She goes, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
And then she gets picked up. She's sitting there with her hand above her head for what feels like a lifetime. I know it's only probably a few seconds, but it just goes on.
Because we cut to a point of view shot of the robot looking down at Sarah Jane, and then we cut to the Brigadier and another soldier, Benton maybe, reacting to Sarah Jane about to be picked up. And then Sarah Jane
Then we cut to a wide shot of it,
yeah. But again, it's only a way the effect could work. You have to physically pause your body to get some of these effects
get
to
keyed
work.
out. Yeah. And then when I love the scene where she's picked up though, and the robot's walking with her, because it's so clearly just a doll in the robot's hands, and you see little Sarah Jane's lifeless legs just flailing in the wind.
And it's not a doll specifically made to look like Sarah Jane. It's just a random doll they probably found in the warehouse somewhere. They dressed her up. And
put it in a blue dress, it'll be fine.
Or maybe Sarah Jane is wearing that blue dress because the doll
to
was
look like the
that
doll.
Blue dress.
Oh my
I
god!
wonder.
Oh my god! Tapped into it.
Because she changes outfits constantly during this story. It's weird.
You might not be far off. That could legitimately. It's easier to just get Sarah a dress than it is to dress this doll. Yeah. Yeah.
The doll is very obvious. But if you're watching this on a fuzzy TV way back in 1975 with a 12-inch screen, you're not gonna notice. And also, you're a kid. You're used to effects like this when you're in 1975. It's a regular episode of television. You're used to Doctor Who looking a bit shoddy. So I
love the scene of her holding on to that. She gets put on a rooftop.
Yeah.
And the shot of her holding on to the chimney with by the drain pipe that's iconic. Yeah. That's the sort of shit I wish I could get away with. Yeah.
Well, you look at that shot and it must have taken 45 minutes to set up. No, your hand goes here. Don't move it. Oh, to the left a bit, to the right a bit. It is pretty spot on, to be honest with you.
Part of her dress is cut off from the shoulder. She's keying is all weird again. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It's also insane that we now live in a day and age where I could do a better looking effect shot in my bedroom.
Yeah. You can replicate almost this entire sequence in a day and just
oh my god,
make it look really fucking professional. Dude, this episode comes out in a day and a half, pretty much. Fucking do it tomorrow. Dare you to. Since you can do better.
I have plans. I don't want to do it.
Coward.
Hey, it's almost Christmas. I don't want to do any work. I don't want to do any extra work. But the goddamn action sequence that we have got coming up for the large part of this episode is nonsense. It makes no literally nonsense, because the Brigadier in that they said earlier in the episode, hey, our bullets don't work. So that's why we tried the gun, the robot gun against the robot, because we were like, haha, we'll use its own weapons against it. That didn't work. What's plan C? Go back to using our guns. And then just run away again when it inevitably doesn't work. I don't understand what the fuck they're doing.
When the fucking robot is big, it's so much more harder to fucking aim. You know, it's harder to get like a
they
little
fire a
bullets.
fucking missile at it and hit a building instead. Like,
And also that shot where they fire a missile at it, the smoke is way too big because obviously it's a regular sized human in a costume, so the smoke is just regular sized smoke. It's not like
yeah.
they're trying their best. You know, it's as you said, it's very ambitious for 1975.
It's super ambitious. Yeah, it's real out there.
I would love to get some input from anybody listening to this episode. Was there anything equivalent to this in 1975 on British television? I imagine not. This is like this must have been like the Doctor Who team being like, only we can try and push the boundaries like this. Why not try and experiment with special effects? Why not try? And it's not too bad, you know, considering where technology was and all that. You know, they're doing their best, I would say. There's room for improvement for sure, a lot of room, but. It could have been worse, is what I'm saying.
Sure, it could always be worse, but that doesn't make it less shit in my eyes. Like, you know, sure, it's a product of its time, it's a product of its budget. Bad effect is a bad effect. You know, it's a bad effect. It doesn't communicate what they wanted it to communicate, and I don't know if it did when it came out. I wasn't alive. My mum wasn't alive. This is a very old episode of Doctor Who. So,
I imagine,
you know, like,
I imagine if you haven't, you know, if you were like 5 years old as a kid and you're like 55 now, and if you were asked about this episode, you would imagine it looking a lot better than it did. You know, like kids probably had to use their imaginations a lot more than we would have had to do when we were young watching like season 1 of Christopher Eccleston. Like,
but even still, like, there's some effects in season 1 of Eccleston that
sure.
a lot of the effects have held up pretty well. But like as a kid, I thought it looked amazing, and I go back and watch like Peppa Pizza, the fucking you know. Like that whole bin sequence, like that didn't look terrible as a kid, and then you go back and watch it, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, and sometimes the effect just ages badly because it uses not effective technique, you know.
Fun story. I just recently rewatched Rose with my mum, and I did the burp. The bin did the burp, and my mum was like, "How did you know the bin was going to burp?" I impressed her with my burp.
You should have been like, Mum, I've spent hours dissecting the ins and outs of that burp.
And, if you want to tease it, maybe we will talk about it soon again. The 20th anniversary is coming up, so hint, hint.
Oh my god.
God,
it's 2025 soon. Jesus Christ.
The passage of time gets to us all, my friend.
Do you think they're going to do anything for the 20th anniversary of New Who?
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
No.
Feels like they didn't do anything for the 10th, did they?
No.
In 2015.
If it didn't do anything for the 10th, because obviously, like, a year and a half earlier was the 50th anniversary. I think it's going to be the same situation.
We just had it's going to be the situation every anniversary because that's how dates work.
Exactly. So we're not going to do anything, you know. We just spent too much time. But we did the Power of the Doctor in the 60th. You know, the Power of the Doctor was for the 100th anniversary of the BBC.
Yeah.
And then.
But that was like a specific BBC request. Like they were like commissioned an episode for it to celebrate the BBC. But I also think they don't view Doctor Who as like classic and modern. It's just Doctor Who, you know. It's all one big thing, and so But we'll celebrate it.
We sure will, my friend. We sure will.
The Doctor and Harry drive along and see the big robot, and then they stop and be like, holy fuck, that's a big robot, and then they keep driving along. The action sequence continues on. We get some interesting little model effects, like the robot smashes a house, it stands on a unit excuse me, it stands on a unit soldier in a really, really funny way. I thought that was hilarious, especially because you can see the guy's head sticking up from behind the foot after it stomps down on him.
It reminds me of the first time I got like a digital camera and I would just sit there and try to do that, like try to pinch people's heads with my fingers.
Yeah.
Like it is very primitive in terms of how we did that effect almost, you know.
And again, like if you just added like a little squelchy sound effect, it would add so much. It would add so much to the silliness of that effect shot, you know.
I'm sure they could have done some post where
it
the
looks
screen
like
wobbles around every time the robot stomps, you know.
It looks like SpongeBob. You know when like a hand comes in to grab something from... That's exactly what it looks like.
Good show. Who watches SpongeBob when?
Never. You can do that with Sean. He
sure,
knows the ins and outs of
I would be very happy to do a SpongeBob podcast with Sean.
He knows every episode of at least classic SpongeBob, like inside and out. It's terrifying. Such a wealth of knowledge that I didn't expect from him. He's
I'll need to organize this with Sean.
But the Doctor rocks up and he's like, "Don't worry, guys. We're gonna beat the robot that's destroying everything with this bucket of red oozing shit." And then they drive up and they throw the bucket on the robot and win.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's so unsatisfying. They just go, "Wee, drive by, get him, and done." You know?
It reminds me, only because I just rewatched The Wizard of Oz and I also just rewatched Wicked. Actually, I watched Wicked. But it reminds me of the fucking Wicked Witch, you know, getting melted by the bucket of water.
Have you ever seen Return to Oz?
No, I haven't, but I need to.
You should watch.
I should.
Yeah, you should watch.
It seems
Return to Oz.
right up my alley. I really like these kind of the creepy kids movies, like Babe 2, Babe Pig in the City. You need to watch that movie. It's incredible.
Yeah,
it is spectacular.
You should definitely watch Return to Oz. It's so very 1980s. It's superb.
I fucking love the 80s, my dude.
Yeah.
If you look at my Letterboxd, every one of my 4 favorite movies is from the 80s. Great era.
Wow. Bad taste. But they watch as the robot slowly disintegrates, and they also just kind of leave Sarah Jane on the roof for a bit. Like the Doctor's like, "Where's Sarah Jane?" And the Brigadier's like, "She's on the roof."
Yeah, you know, we got a shot. We got a shot of Sarah Jane almost slipping from the roof, hanging on for dear life, and we then cut to the Brigadier being like, Sarah Jane is fine up there. She's okay.
Whatever.
She's doing fine. You know,
she gets in capers all the time. That Sarah Jane.
I guess they get a ladder for her.
Sure, she gets down somehow. Yeah.
Christ.
And they all watch as the robot slowly disintegrates, and they're like, "Hey, nice, we win again." And from there, we transition to what I think is genuinely the best scene in this, possibly the whole story, if not the whole episode, which is the very last scene of this story, which opens up with Sarah Jane looking shell-shocked. She is just staring into the abyss, completely like vacant and not there. And Tom Baker comes up and does, for the first time ever, one of the things his actually, this is a very iconic scene. There's 2 very iconic moments that happen in this scene, and the first of those being, "Do you want a jelly baby?" Obviously parodying or referencing when the 10th Doctor would offer people jelly babies in that random episode of Doctor Who. I don't remember which one. The Doctor's done it before.
This is definitely a callback to the 2nd Doctor, who offered jelly babies twice, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
at least in his era. And then of course he would offer there's this famous outtake from the 5 Doctors. I need to show you this. It's really fucking funny. 2 seconds. Also, we'll cut the clip into the here.
Sarah's Dime Brigadier.
Waited till he pushed in. He wasn't too... No, We went too soon, were we?
No, not while I'm acting. Put them away. Then I'll be chewing them in the middle of the shot. He's tried to sabotage my performance by giving me a jelly babe.
There was one on the set when we came on.
But yeah, I fucking love her dynamic off screen as well. Like, just the fact that John Pertwee's like, he's trying to sabotage my acting. I mean, you hear Elizabeth Sladen off screen go, there was one on set earlier as well. Like,
Just jelly babies all over the place.
I fucking love it. So yeah, it started with Patrick Troughton, and obviously it became Tom Baker's signature move, which is fucking awesome. It's iconic.
Yeah, it's
the
it's a great little doctorism.
The fact that no company making jelly babies has ever considered, let's put Tom Baker's face on the packet. Like,
have you seen Tom Baker's face?
True.
He's a kind of scary looking man, you know.
But
like he's kind like, sure, he's good looking in a certain way, but he's also terrifying. Like.
But he's a perfect mascot for jelly babies. Like, he would be perfect on a jelly baby package, even if he is terrifying. But most mascots are fucking terrifying. Have you seen that monkey from Cocoa Pops? Jesus Christ.
Not for a very long time. I haven't seen a monkey from Cocoa Pops in a very long time. I also haven't had a jelly baby in a very long time. I don't think you get vegan, or you probably do get vegan jelly babies, just not where I am.
Yeah.
You know.
You'd have to go to a very specialist shop, I imagine.
Yeah, or buy them online or something.
Yeah.
But I liked a jelly baby. It's a solid sweet. You know, it's pretty darn good. I think I prefer wine gums out of the jellied sweets.
You can get the first one that came up is like $11.99.
Fucking hell! For how much though? Is it like a kilogram, or is it like
2 kilograms?
500? That's a lot. That's a lot of jelly babies. 2 kilograms of jelly babies. It's a lot of money.
No, sorry,
I don't want to
these
spend
are
that much money on jelly babies.
Vegan baby meerkats. Okay.
That's not what I want. Fucking put that in the bin. I want to eat little baby humans. Little sweets of baby humans, please.
I fucking love eating them head first. Just.
You love eating babies head first.
Yes.
Okay.
Good time.
But this scene continues with the Doctor basically explaining the metaphor-ish of the episode, where he's like, that robot, you could basically say, was human, because it was capable of great evil, but also great good. And that's the complex situation we find ourselves in. Sometimes you have to make decisions that are hard to make. And that's the moral dilemma. Anyway, Sarah Jane, would you like to go away in the TARDIS with me? And I really like Tom Baker's acting here, where he like subtly offers her a jelly baby, and you know, Sarah takes it, and that's like her sign of like, yes, I'll come in the TARDIS with you. I think that's a wonderful little bit of direction in the episode, until Harry comes in and is a right fucking cunt about it, and the Doctor
we missed out the famous line of course I'm being childish. There's no point in being an adult if you can't be childish sometimes, which is the way I live my life, you know. I still I talk about a children's television show for 2 hours every single week.
Which one's that?
I wonder.
Yeah, it's an iconic line. It's one of Tom Baker's most famous lines. I remember, like, before I had even seen a Tom Baker episode, it was a clip of a line that I had seen of, like, you know, top 10 most iconic Doctor Who lines or whatever the fuck, you know. And it's a good one. It's a good one. Again, it's such an icon, like, back-to-back iconic moments in pretty mediocre episode.
And it feels weird because we had the same issue with A Hand of Fear. You know, it's just a lot of meandering around, and then at the very end, you get a very good scene with the Doctor and Sarah Jane. It's almost as if the episodes work really well when you don't spend the entire story separating these two iconic characters from each other.
Yeah, it's so strange. But they tell Harry that they're going to go away in the TARDIS, and Harry's like, oh, what the fuck do you mean? That's just a police box, way. And the Doctor's like, go inside, see what it's like. And Harry goes in and goes, wow. We don't see anything that Harry sees, and then the Doctor and that go in, they run away, and the episode ends with the Brigadier being really sad that his friends left him.
Yeah, because they were about to go for a dinner with the Queen. Because
dinner with the Queen,
obviously the Doctor saved the world, and the Queen just wants to have dinner with him or something. And he looks really sad. It's like the Doctor was his date to go to the Queen.
Yeah,
and it's like he only came through to be like, which outfit do you think makes my butt look less fat? You know.
Yeah, and now he doesn't get to have
sad.
dinner. Yeah, it is pretty sad. I'm sad for him. And that's how the episode ends, with the adventures beginning. They're back in the TARDIS. They're going around space and time traveling.
Yeah, as you said, we don't see the inside of the TARDIS, because if you want to show the TARDIS, you have to build the set again, because they couldn't keep the set up all the time. So, and obviously putting up the set again would require less room for more sets. So, it's a choice of whether or not you want to have a TARDIS with taking up so much space in the studio. And this entire season, you don't actually see the inside of a TARDIS. So this could be your first story, and you wouldn't know the TARDIS is bigger on the inside until the next season, which is fucking insane.
It is absolutely bonkers, but it is what it is, I guess. But that is the end of Robot, a story that I think is fine. It's mostly boring, like a lot of classic Who, but it has moments that stand out for either the wrong or the right reasons, where it's like genuinely endearing and a good bit of writing, or really dumb and silly. I think Tom Baker is fucking outstanding instantly as the Doctor. He's got such a natural charm and charisma, and you just believe him in that role. It's straight up iconic from set go. It's crazy to see someone just be that good instantly at the performance. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. What about you?
Yes, my favorite part of this episode is, I'm going to look at the positives, because this episode is not great overall, but the focus on Sarah Jane driving forward the story. Most of the story. The first half, yes. The second half, not so much. She's more of a damsel in distress in the second half. But the first half, she is a really strong character. And if you look at the first half, it feels like what we know Sarah Jane as in the modern series. She's inquisitive. She's more the character we know in the 21st century. And this is probably the last time Sarah Jane is like that in the classic series, because she becomes more of a damsel in distress later on in this show, which is quite sad. But apart from her own spin-off show, remember K9 and Company, where
K9.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
But
an interesting show.
I'm more defensive over this episode. I think it's just a bit of harmless fun. It's fine. It's like a 7 out of 10. No, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody for the first ever Doctor Who episode, but there's worse episodes. There is worse episodes. So.
There of Classic Who specifically, there is significantly worse episodes for sure. I don't know if I'd go as high as a 7. I'd maybe go as high as a 6.
That's fair, yeah.
But you'd have to catch me in a happy mood. I think it would fluctuate between a 6 and like a 4.5. Somewhere around that ballpark. But it's all right. It's all right. And next week we will be looking at Joy to the World. Yes. The Doctor Who Christmas special, the most modernist Christmas special yet. The Ncuti Gatwa is coming back to our screens on Christmas Day. We will not be releasing the episode on Christmas Day because it's Christmas Day.
We probably won't release it on Friday either. We'll get it out sometime. Turn on your notification bell so you can be notified the minute it drops. We'll try to tell people on social media, I guess. We keep cover Twitter. Maybe, I don't know. Matthew is shaking his head, looking disgusted.
Social media, yuck.
But hey,
and then
we'll next
done
week
for the year.
we'll also be talking briefly about the colorization of the war games, because that is coming out on the 23rd of December, and maybe we'll also talk about the Doctor Who concert. We'll also be talking about the season 2 trailer. There's a lot to talk about in the next episode, so stay tuned. Fucking ring that bell, and also there's an entire backlog of episodes.
There's a lot of episodes. If
you want to hear our complete thoughts on the war games, we talked about that for about 10 hours, I would say. You know, that's a long series we talked about earlier on this year. If you want to listen to more Tom Baker stories, we've covered a robot, we've covered the Hand of Fear, we've covered the Pyramid of Mars, we've covered the City of Death, we've covered something else. There's a lot of episodes of the Fourth Doctor we've covered. If you go to our playlists, we have a playlist of each Doctor, so jump into Tom Baker's jump into the Tom Baker playlist or any playlist, and you'll have a good time. You'll have a good time for sure. And also, if you want to have a listen to any Christmas episodes, we've covered The Voyage of the Damned. We've covered last year's Christmas special, and no more Christmas specials. I think we've only covered 2 Christmas specials so far.
I think so, yeah. Christmas specials are really long and bad most of the time.
We were going to do it this year, but then I decided to do this episode instead because celebrating Tom Baker felt more important.
Yeah.
God bless that man. Hopefully he's still alive in the next 2 days.
He is so far.
He is so far. Fingers crossed we don't kill him off.
And that is all we've got. So we shall see you for the Christmas special at some point in the next X amount of days before New Year, and then 2025 is upon us. So thank you very much, and goodbye.